From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
Thanks for joining us at 6 o'clock. I'm Alyssa Donovan. Nicole Griffin has the night off. The WRTV storm team is tracking tumbling temperatures and snow to wrap up your Saturday. Let's get straight to meteorologist Kyle Mounts, who's breaking down everything you need to know for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, Alyssa, it wasn't a bad Saturday for us. Actually enjoyed a lot of sunshine out there, but things are getting ready to change here. We've got some snow moving into the northwestern portion of the state, and that area of snow will move through between now and about 3 o'clock in the morning. Most areas 1.5 inches or less. There will be many of us that are less than an inch of snow accumulation, and then the cold will follow in behind it. By the time we get into Sunday morning, wind chills of 0 to -15 for us. You can see the clouds already streaming in. You've got cold temperatures. Kokomo at 17. It's 19 right now in Muncie and 22 in Indianapolis. This evening, temperatures will hold fairly steady, and there we get into the metro area, that snow around 10 o'clock or so. Right now, there you can see that band of snow back across portions of Illinois. Right now, getting in toward Fowler and also Monticello there in White County. We look at TrueCast. By the time we get to 7:30, northwestern locations, Indianapolis around 10:30. Same for you in Muncie and Anderson, but by 3 a.m. it's out of here. We'll break down those snow accumulations in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Kyle. The upcoming cold streak also means an increased risk for frostbite and hypothermia. Both can happen in a matter of minutes. That's why it's important to limit your time outdoors. Deputy Fire Chief Michael Pruitt says if you must venture outside, bundle up and layer up. Make sure you wear a hat, gloves, boots, wool socks, scarf, and a thick jacket. And change anything if they get wet. Pruitt says while you'll want to bundle up, you'll also want to be able to still move. His 2 takeaways for this upcoming week: prepare and check on your neighbors.
If I do notice that I have any type of frostbite on my hands, I want to just let the water run. Don't do a lot of massaging. That's not good on the skin tissue. We want to thaw that out. If you start to see some blistering, or if you have any type of dark colors, like it may be turning black, and this goes for your feet, hands, face, that's when we want to seek medical attention.
Carbon monoxide poisoning is also a concern during this time, which is one of the reasons Pruitt urges Hoosiers to avoid using a gas stove to warm an area. And tonight, communities are opening warming centers to help those without heat get out of the cold. In Shelbyville, there's a Salvation Army warming center at 126 East Washington Street. The shelter opened at 8 this morning. It'll remain open 24 hours a day through Tuesday, February 16th. Pre-registration and a negative COVID-19 test is required. In Madison County, an overnight warming center is opening at the Christian Center at 603 Main Street in Anderson. This shelter will be open from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m. every night until February 12th. An additional center will be open during the day from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. at the Salvation Army on Meridian Street in Anderson. Here in Marion County, a warming center will open at 8 o'clock tonight at Municipal Gardens on Lafayette Road. Indianapolis officials say if you need assistance during the cold snap, to call 211. And 6 in 10 people living with dementia will wander. And during any period of dangerously cold temperatures, wandering is a huge concern for caregivers of those who have dementia or Alzheimer's. Laura Forbes of the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Indiana says make a plan and be prepared. That means keeping a list of people who could help and know a list of places where a person would wander to. It's also recommended that you take a photo of your loved one daily in case it needs to be provided to police. There are some warning signs loved ones may give before wandering that caregivers and neighbors should be aware of. Restlessness, forgetfulness of familiar places, and asking where family and friends may be are just 3 of several warning signs ahead of this cold streak.
Adding bolts to doors, either very high or low, kind of out of the line of sight, or disguising the door. And, putting some bells, alarms on doors and windows, and that way you can be alerted if they've been opened and they really shouldn't have been. And then some steps are even simpler than that, just removing the person's shoes or a purse from near the door. That can be kind of a trigger to them to make them think that they need to go outside. So kind of storing those away. And of course, keeping keys away.
Forbes says to prevent wandering, continue daily routines, plan activities during times a person may wander as a distraction, and make sure all basic needs are met. In the event a loved one does wander, Forbes urges families and neighbors to call 911 and spend no more than 15 minutes searching for that person. In addition to checking on your neighbors, it's also important to make sure your home is ready for the cold. If you have sinks that are on exterior walls, experts say you should leave a small trickle of water running and cabinet doors open. That way heat can get to the pipes. Experts at Benjamin Franklin Plumbing say to make sure your home stays warm, keep your garage door down and your crawl space vents open. If your pipes do freeze, the pros say you can try to use a space heater to thaw them, but you need to be cautious.
Just be careful where you're putting the heater if you're, around a wall, insulation, things like that. But if you're not sure, the best thing to do, if you can turn your main water valve off if it's not froze, just to be safe. Because the problem is if somebody doesn't get out there quick enough, or we don't get out there quick enough, and those pipes thaw, that's when the pipes can bust. So if you know where your main shutoff valve is in the house, that's a good thing. Or if you're not sure, definitely call us as soon as possible so we can get out there for you.
If you're going to use a space heater, make sure it's away from other objects and don't leave it unattended. We have these tips posted for you on the WRTV app. And as temperatures tumble, animal advocates are getting the word out to keep your pets safe. Friends of Indianapolis Dogs Outside, or FIDO, is doing outreach. Volunteers are letting dog owners know about the city's care and treatment ordinance. It says you must bring your dogs inside if temperatures drop to 20 degrees or below. Violators can face a citation from the city. But FIDO says their goal is to simply educate pet owners about the dangers of cold weather. They say it is acceptable to let your dog outside briefly.
Just for very short periods, like, 10, 20 minutes, just to run around and do their business and come back in. But, we're most concerned about these dogs that live outside, and when temperatures are getting as cold as they're predicted, dogs suffer and they can literally die in these temperatures.
FIDO is offering resources like training crates, flea treatments, and other supplies. If you see a dog left outside in the frigid cold, you should report it to the Mayor's Action Center or through the Request Indy app. You can track the falling temperatures and the incoming snow on the Storm Shield app. Download it for free in your smartphone's marketplace. And some sad news to pass along tonight. Former First Lady Susan Bayh has died. In a statement, her family announced her death followed a long battle with glioblastoma. Susan was the First Lady from 1989 until 1997, when her husband Evan was governor. The Bayh family says a memorial service will be held when health conditions allow. Susan Bayh was 61 years old. Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb released a statement saying, in part, quote, "She was an extraordinary and radiant public servant, wife, mother, and friend who leaves a remarkable impact on our state and nation. I ask all Hoosiers to join in praying and being there for the Bayh family." You can read more about Susan Bayh's legacy by opening this story on the WRTV app. Turning now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and its impact on the Hoosier state. State health officials report nearly 2,900 new coronavirus cases. They also report 67 additional Hoosiers have died with the coronavirus. Since the beginning of the pandemic, more than 11,000 people in Indiana have died with COVID-19. The state also reports nearly 22,000 more Hoosiers have received their first dose of the coronavirus vaccine. 205,000 Hoosiers are now fully vaccinated against the virus. And lots of people are hoping to get a vaccine appointment as soon as they can. Now you are reaching out to us asking how to cancel your original appointment if you find an earlier date. We reached out to the State Department of Health. They tell us to cancel an appointment, just call 211. And as a reminder, anyone at least 65 years old, long-term care residents, first responders, and healthcare workers are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. You can make an appointment by going to ourshot.in.gov or by calling 211. If you cannot get an appointment right away, you're encouraged to frequently check the website. Well, will we see another stimulus check? Coming up, why President Biden says Americans can't afford to wait for negotiations.
We've talked about the snow, but we also have more cold we need to talk about. A wind chill advisory overnight through noon Sunday for Indianapolis and areas to the north. I'll detail those coldest hours, and we'll look for some relief in the 7-day forecast.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
Tonight, there's a new effort to fight a different devastating crisis in Indiana. The state's Family and Social Services Administration and the organization Overdose Lifeline, Inc. are teaming up to roll out naloxone box units in every county. These boxes will give more people 24/7 access to naloxone, the life-saving drug that reverses an opioid overdose.
Anyone who is concerned about themselves or someone they care about experiencing an overdose from an opioid, they can come to this box 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get the overdose reversal drug without needing to talk to an individual. It removes the barrier.
Overdose Lifeline says this is one strategy to support Hoosiers who are struggling with addiction. Getting naloxone to people in need is especially important now because access is more limited due to the pandemic. Each box will have 6 to 8 doses, instructions, and referrals to treatment. Businesses or community groups can request a naloxone box to be installed in a highly visible area. And President Biden says the American people do not have time to wait for lengthy bipartisan negotiations. They need help now. As ABC's Faith Abube reports, the president has hoped for bipartisan legislation, but is willing to move forward without GOP support.
President Biden believes struggling Americans need help now.
If I have to choose between getting help right now to Americans who are hurting so badly and getting bogged down in a lengthy negotiation, or compromising on a bill that's up to the crisis, that's an easy choice.
Both chambers of Congress have passed a budget resolution setting up the ability for Democrats to pass the president's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package without the threat of a filibuster from Republicans.
They're not interested in doing the hard work it takes to build consensus.
At the core of the package, $160 billion for vaccinations and testing and help for small businesses, as well as $1,400 in direct payments to many Americans. The president making it clear the amount of those checks is non-negotiable.
I'm not cutting the size of the checks. They're going to be $1,400, period.
Friday's bleak jobs report underscoring the importance of getting a relief package passed. Nearly 18 million Americans are now claiming some form of unemployment, and more than 50 million people, including 1 in 4 children, are going hungry. The White House, with a new effort labeled A Weekly Conversation, will have the president communicating directly with Americans. The first video shows Biden speaking with an unemployed mother from California.
We're putting together a plan that provides for emergency relief to people in desperate need now.
We're so glad that we have you focusing on that.
Meanwhile, President Biden, in an interview with CBS News, saying he doesn't think his predecessor should receive intelligence briefings due to his, quote, erratic behavior.
What value is giving him an intelligence briefing? What impact does he have at all, other than the fact he might slip and say something?
The president has the authority to deny intelligence access to anyone he chooses, but stopped short of announcing he had decided to prevent Trump from receiving those briefings. Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
The snow on the ground playing a role in our temperatures today. You can see you're only in the teens right now in Tipton and Peru, 16 degrees for you, but we get down where we've got no snow really out there in Bloomington, Bedford, right at the freezing mark. We're in the middle at 22 downtown Indianapolis. Enjoy the sunshine. Now you can see those clouds closing in, and there's the snow. Most of it's still back in Illinois, but we're starting to see a few of those returns around Monticello into Fowler and making their way a little closer to Lafayette as well. Here's a look at 7 o'clock this evening, so it will take a little bit of time as it slides towards the south and east. Indianapolis area between about 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. We'll continue to see that sliding off toward the south and east here around Connorsville, Greensburg, and Seymour by 1 a.m. But you notice around the metro area, we'll pretty much be done with the snow by about midnight or 1. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, it's really just going to be all about the cold. This is very dry, cold air, so it's going to be a light and fluffy snow. We might be able to fluff that up in some locations that we see close to 1.5 inches of snow, but other locations, especially as you travel to the east, likely to see less than 1 inch of snow accumulation out there. Could become a little bit slick though, because look at the temperatures going to continue to fall. This is actually the wind chill forecast tomorrow morning and why we have that wind chill advisory in effect. You can see those numbers dropping below zero, feeling like -10 in the Lafayette area. So some locations could get as cold as feeling like -15, about -5 in Indy at 9 a.m. And as we go into the afternoon, only best about single digits north of I-70. We get around Bloomington, it'll feel like 11. The actual temperature, it's not going to be warming up much at all either. We will have some sunshine around as we get to 11 a.m., 10 degrees for you. Then the clouds will return through the afternoon, but only making our way here into the teens. Tomorrow morning, we'll have that northwest breeze around 10 miles per hour. Active weather pattern, it continues here. As we get into Monday afternoon and evening, we see some more snow showers. We may even see a few flurries or snow showers tomorrow afternoon, but Monday evening into Monday night, that's one that could bring a few inches of accumulation. So one we'll keep our eyes on. We may see temperatures warm enough around Bedford, Seymour, into the Columbus area that we may see a little bit of a wintry mix as that one slides on through. Lots to keep our eyes on here in that 7-day forecast, and we're going to be watching the thermometer not rising a whole lot here. 25 will be the high on Tuesday. We get a reinforcing shot of some colder air, brings in chance for some more light snow accumulation. Don't see any big storm systems coming our way. But even as we get into next weekend, Alyssa, still highs only in the teens.
It's going to be a cold stretch, Kyle. The recent discovery of gas above Venus, scientists thought was a sign that life might have been there, is a false alarm. Researchers at the University of Washington in Seattle say what was first thought to be phosphine gas was more likely sulfur dioxide. Phosphine gas is released on Earth when organisms break down. Scientists say sulfur dioxide is more common on Venus and its unbreathable atmosphere. They say the discovery of phosphine above Venus was most likely small amounts located miles above its thick atmosphere. Interesting. Well, the big game between the Bucks and Chiefs is about 24 hours away. How the teams are preparing when the news continues at 6. We're a little more than 24 hours away from Super Bowl 55 down in Tampa. ABC's Will Reeve shows us how the teams are prepping ahead of the big game.
Sunday's game is being touted by some as one of the greatest Super Bowl quarterback matchups ever. 43-year-old Tom Brady against 25-year-old Patrick Mahomes. Brady, the winner of 6 Super Bowl titles.
This is a game that's really going to challenge us. This team is a very tough team to beat.
And Mahomes, the defending Super Bowl MVP.
It's going to be a great game with 2 great teams. And if I leave everything I have on the field for my teammates at the end of the day, I'll be happy.
Of the 75,000 seats inside Raymond James Stadium, only 22,000 will be filled with fans. The NFL inviting vaccinated healthcare workers to the big game. In this age of COVID, everyone in attendance will be required to wear a mask, maintain social distancing, and will receive a PPE kit. Tickets will be digital and all food and beverage transactions will be cashless. Another 30,000 seats will be filled with fan photos, part of the NFL's Fans in the Stands cutout program that raises money for charity. There are also going to be some changes to the halftime show. This year, the stage will be in the stands rather than on the field.
So we wanted to keep that live experience, and this year we've just figured out a different way to do that.
The Weeknd teasing his performance, releasing this clip. The Kansas City Chiefs arriving in Tampa Saturday afternoon, but without Britt Reed, son of head coach Andy Reid and also a member of the coaching staff. Reed was involved in a multi-vehicle crash Thursday night that left 2 children injured, 1 critically, according to the police report. Sources tell ESPN Reed is suffering from undisclosed injuries and was not expected to travel to Tampa. The incident is still under investigation. Will Reeve, ABC News, Tampa.
Much of central Indiana is under a wind chill advisory. Kyle fills us in on how cold it's going to feel on Sunday. Still ahead on the news at 6. A school custodian makes a trick shot, and no one would have known had it not been caught on camera. Joe Oriens is a custodian at an Ohio middle school and was shooting baskets before school. The custodian tried a half-court shot with his back turned to the basket, and he made it. Oriens mentioned it to the school principal, Kyle Leatherman, who didn't believe him until he checked the cameras. Principal Leatherman posted the video onto Twitter with the caption, "Our custodian is better than yours." How about that?
True enough, right?
I think they're right.
Very cool.
Our forecast is pretty, I don't know if I'd call this great.
I wouldn't, no. It's not. We've got some snow. We'll get through this, only about an inch and a half or less. You can see that's already moving in around Fowler and Monticello. Again, we'll see that snow between now and 3 a.m. across central Indiana, and then by tomorrow morning, those wind chills 0 to -15. So it will be some serious cold out there, and it stays cold into next week.
All right, thanks for making WRTV your choice for news rather. Join us at 11.